First off, I want to welcome everybody here this evening. It's good to see the gallery with local residents, whether it's here to just take part of the meeting or to see how council is run. It's always good to see our residents. First off, before we get into anything, I want to make note to my fellow councillors and to the audience that Dwayne Roberts from the I want to make note that Dwayne Roberts from the Development Department is here this evening. If there's any questions to be answered from the building code and so on, he'll be able to do that for us. On the other note, this evening, no, I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to wait on that. Start over. Item number 2, approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions? Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'd like to add a new item under new business 8.8, upcoming fundraisers. And this is going to be in regards to the SPCA and the hullabaloo. As you know, Mr. Chair, I was expecting to chair this meeting tonight, and I had that in my notes, and I made a promise to someone that I would mention these two functions that are coming up, so I'd like that added as item 8.8.
8.8, fine, thank you. Is there anything else that council wish to? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the addition. Moved by Gerard. Any seconder? Seconded by Lauren. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 3, declaration of any conflict of interest. Does any councillor see any conflict of interest? Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
I'm going to declare conflict of interest in item 8.7, municipal alcohol program update. As we all know, I own an NSLC outlet store, so I cannot be participating in any comments in regards to alcohol.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 4, approval of the minutes of August 15th, regular council, the in-camera on August 15th, August 21st, special council meeting, the in-camera on the 21st. The floor is open. Would somebody wish to move? Go ahead, Councillor LeBon.
I move for the approval of the minutes for the regular council meeting August 15, 2018. In-camera meeting minutes August 15, 2018. Public transcript August 15, 2015. Special council meeting August 21st, 2018. Special in-camera meeting August 21st, 2018, and public transcript August 21st, 2018.
We have a mover. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Lauren Cushion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. I don't know what it is this evening. Maybe I need some water or something. Item number 5 is the warden's remarks. They're not very long this evening, councillors. I hear some laughing over here on my left. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, right? I double spaced them all, so. Just a quick update. The start of September was great with the announcement of the federal and the provincial and the municipal financial contributions to the Nova Scotia U.S. ferry terminal. That is a good step forward for Yarmouth County, for the province of Nova Scotia especially, and so on. And it's something we can look forward to hopefully in the very near future. Also, over the last number of days in September and the end of August and the first part of September, both the municipality of Yarmouth and Argyll have had a lot of meetings and discussion with our local volunteer fire departments pertaining to the fire dispatch service and so on, and to let the general public know that we are moving forward with implementing some new features, I'll say, at this time. On the 9th of September, the Chabot River Aquatic Club had an open day at their facility with a barbecue and a corn boil. I happened to drop down. It kind of blew me away. There was a lot of people. They had music and so on. A lot of kids were enjoying themselves and so on. I want to thank Councillor Cushion. He was there, he and his wife, enjoying the festivities and so on. It was a beautiful day, and it was well attended. On September 13th, the Yarmouth Police Advisory Committee met. I wasn't able to attend that, so I'm not sure if the Deputy Warden is able to make a report later on in our reports or not. If he could, I'd appreciate that. Also, here on September 12th, CarStar, the new automotive, I'll call it the Automotive Rehabilitation Center, eh? I guess they call it Collision Center, but had their grand opening, and on behalf of the municipality, we wish them well on their new endeavor and so on, and I drive by it every day, and it seems to be quite busy, so I think they're established quite well already and working very diligently with their new facility. I haven't brought this before council, and but it will be coming before them, and I won't say that it is something that they'll look forward to, because it could be a cost to the municipality and to Region 7. On September 14th, I was in Halifax on behalf of Regional Chairs, which is the Solid Waste Management Committee, which I chair. We had a meeting of the board, and we met with the Department of Environment. The Department of Environment, in the last few months, has decided to make new regulations on C&D requirements and regulations. As you're all well aware, we have a C&D site at the municipality transfer station, which is owned by the town and by Argyle and ourselves. With these new regulations, that if they are put into effect, which no matter how much we argue, they're probably going to be put into effect in late 2019 or 2020. That implementation of those new regulations could cost the municipal units in between Yarmouth and Argyle and ourselves in the area, divided equally, around $100,000, so around a $300,000 addition to our waste transfer station, because it looks like it's going to be, the provincial government, Department of Environment, is now all C&D material is going to have to be sorted. What goes into a C&D site for debris is going to have to be sorted. They are now going to start to take a lot more banding, a lot more items. Right now you can take creosoted timbers and so on. They're looking at taking those out, so you can realize the cost. You may ask, what do you do with these banned items? You put them on a truck and you haul them to Queens, and you pay Queens to bury them in their second generation landfill. They won't be allowed to go in our C&D site here, but they'll have to be trucked off site. We had a good fight on the 14th, but 2.5 hours later, they just said, basically they'll take everything we said into consideration, but by the end of 2019, 2020, they'll probably be implemented. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. There'll be a lot more discussion, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. And since we got a lot of people in the audience, you might as well have full understanding that as councillors, we deal with a lot of things and so on, and some of the regulations and so on that are implemented and are put back on you as residents is not on our doing. The province of Nova Scotia, right across the province, I sat with 6 other regions, and we had real hard discussions with environment, and it did. Their biggest thing that came up, well, it's done in other provinces. So why is it got to be done? Well, I won't get into it, but that's the argument. For 2.5 hours we argued with them, but I just wanted to give my councillors an update on that. Tomorrow I'm going to be leaving early for Truro. I have 2 meetings in Truro on Thursday and Friday with Divert Nova Scotia. It's a board that I sit on. I've enjoyed it. It has to do with basically all the types of recycling items within Nova Scotia and so on. So I enjoyed that one. On September 27th, for elected officials only from within southwest Nova Scotia, I hope you, as councillors, have it marked, which I'm quite sure you do, here at the Grand Hotel. The Canadian Nova Scotia Offshore Petroleum Board is meeting to have a discussion on the offshore incident that has happened here just a couple of months ago and so on, and they'll bring all the elected officials up to speed on that and anything else that pertains to offshore. So I'm quite sure you're all well aware of that date, were you not? I think I sent out. Okay, thank you. Those are my remarks for this evening. Item number 6. 6.1. Public hearing. Request of H.M. Huskisson's Funeral Home to rezone land from rural development to rural commercial for a crematorium facility. You have in your package, I believe, letters of concern and so on, which I hope you've had the opportunity to read and so on. So at this time, I think I pass it off. Brad Fulton, our district planner, is on leave at the moment. Our development officer, Roger Devine, is on vacation. So I believe at this time I am turning the floor over to our CEO, Victoria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what I'm going to do tonight is read the brief from Brad Fulton, who was the planner who vetted the application, who took it to the Planning Advisory Committee, who recommended it for first reading to council. So I will read the document, and then the chairman is going to explain to you how the hearing will proceed in terms of who can speak and how long they can speak, and we'll go from there. So request of H. Andrew Huskisson, H.M. Huskisson's Funeral Home Limited, rural development to rural commercial zone, property ID 90134479 Brooklyn Road, Brooklyn, for a crematorium facility. An application and request to amend the land use bylaw of the municipality was received July 10th, 2018 from H. Andrew Huskisson of H.M. Huskisson's Funeral Home Limited, requesting a land use bylaw amendment. The request is for the council to amend the land use bylaw to rezone a portion of the subject property from rural development to rural commercial to enable the development and use of the property for a crematorium facility. Subject property review. The subject property, PID 90134479, is approximately 20 acres in total area and is currently a vacant lot. It is bounded on the north by the Brooklyn Road, vacant properties, and a residential property. On the east, it is bound by residential properties. On the south, it is bound by a residential property and a vacant property, and on the west, it is bound by Highway 101. The subject property has 2 areas of frontage on the Brooklyn Road, one on the western portion of the lot measuring 235 feet, and another portion on the eastern side of the lot measuring 180 feet, for a total frontage on the Brooklyn Road of approximately 415 feet. The lot is approximately 1,000 feet deep north to south. The lot slopes from east to west, and the western portion of the lot is low marshland with a small intermittent stream flowing from the southeast to northwest in the southwest corner of the lot. The higher elevation eastern portion of the lot is tree covered. Overview of the proposal. An area in the northeast treed portion of the subject property with 198 feet of road frontage on the Brooklyn Road is proposed to be rezoned to accommodate the crematorium facility. This area intended for rezoning widens at the rear boundary line of the abutting lot to the east on the Brooklyn Road to a width of approximately 420 feet. This proposed zoned area extends southward from the Brooklyn Road approximately 500 feet to its southern boundary, which measures 360 feet east-west. The total area of the intended zoned portion is 3.7 acres. The owner is proposing to construct an 1,120 square foot crematorium facility building measuring 28 feet by 40 feet on this site for his funeral home business. The building is intended to be set back from the boundary of the road approximately 330 feet. As the lot slopes from east to west, the area where the building is proposed is approximately 33 feet lower in elevation than the elevation at the easternmost portion of the subject property. Driveway access off the Brooklyn Road to the zoned area is intended to be located at the western boundary of the zoned area. The building site and a septic field bed area to the southwest of the building are intended to be cleared. The remaining existing trees on the lot will be maintained to provide a natural buffer between the crematorium building and the residences on the Brooklyn Road. This portion of the funeral home business is being separated from the main place of business in the town of Yarmouth. The intention is to separate the facility as required by the scheduling demands of the business, which requires the access to the facility at all times. Municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw review. Policies 8.3.1.1 and 8.3.1.4 of the municipal planning strategy state it shall be the policy of council to establish a rural commercial zone in the rural development designation to accommodate a wide range of commercial uses and non-residential uses. Council will consider development proposals for new commercial use and non-residential uses in the rural development designation by amendment of the land use bylaw subject to specific criteria. The criteria referenced in policy 8.3.1.4 is found in part 15 of the municipal planning strategy. Section 15.1.7 deals with the general criteria required to be reviewed when council considers a land use bylaw amendment. Policies 15.1.7.1 and 15.1.7.2 require an application proposal to reflect the intent of the municipal planning strategy and require an applicant to identify a proposed use. It is the intention of the municipal planning strategy for council to rezone from rural development to rural commercial where the rezoning criteria is satisfied and the applicant has stated a specific intended use. Municipal Planning Strategy Section 15.1.7.3 requires a proposed rural commercial zoned area to meet all land use bylaw required lot size and zone standards. The proposed zoned area meets the rural commercial land use bylaw zoned area, frontage lot requirements, and other rural commercial standards. The Municipal Planning Strategy Section 15.1.7.4 requires council to notify landowners by direct mail of the amendment application and public hearing. These direct mail notifications will be undertaken in the course of the formal amendment review process when the Municipal Government Act public hearing notification requirement is published. The final municipal planning strategy criteria of Section 15.1.7.5 requires the proposal to not significantly alter the character and stability of surrounding adjacent uses. This area is characterized by rural residential properties, often containing treed areas, fields, and outbuildings. In this application, the proposal is for the use of a single residence-sized building situated approximately 330 feet from the Brooklyn Road, and the nearest residence to a new commercial building is situated 300 feet northeast of the proposed building on the south side of the Brooklyn Road. The proposed building will be at a lower elevation than the Brooklyn Road, and it will be screened from view by residences on the Brooklyn Road by a stand of mature trees. The traffic expectations generated by the use are minimal, and the hours of use of the facility are dependent on the random scheduling requirements of the business. The frequency of operation of the facility has a potential to be a daily occurrence. Operation of the facility is not expected to produce any audible noise, and the emissions from the crematorium process are minimal. This operation is currently located in an urban residential neighborhood in the town of Yarmouth, and it has not generated any substantial conflicts with nearby residential uses. Specific review criteria for land use bylaw amendments is found in Section 15.2 of the Municipal Planning Strategy and are as follows. 15.2.1, to consider the following addition to all other criteria set out in the various policies of this municipal planning strategy when considering amendments to the land use bylaw or proposal for development agreements. 15.2.2, that a development permit may be issued for any existing use on the lot for which the development agreement or amendment has been requested. And 15.2.3, that the proposal conforms to the intent of the municipal planning strategy and to all other applicable municipal bylaws and regulations, except where the application is for a development agreement and the requirements of the land use bylaw need not be met. And 15.2.4, that the proposal is not in conflict with the municipal or provincial programs in effect in the municipality. And in 15.2.5, that the proposal is not premature or inappropriate by reason of financial ability of the municipality to absorb costs related to the development, or adequacy of sewer and water services, including fire flows and water pressure, or the adequacy of the site for on-site services, or creation or worsening of a pollution problem in the area, such as but not limited to soil erosion and siltation of water courses, or adequacy of storm drainage and effects of alteration to drainage patterns, including the potential for creation of a flooding problem, or suitability of the site regarding grades, soils, and geological conditions, location of water courses, marshes, bogs, and swamps, and proximity of utility rights of way, or adequacy and proximity of school, recreation, and other community facilities, or adequacy of road networks in, nearby, and leading to the development regarding congestion and traffic hazards. And that the setback and separation distances between the proposed development and existing dwellings are adequate to minimize any potential nuisance effects of the development or proposed operations. That the proposal doesn't generate excessive noise, dust, odor, or other pollution. And that the proposal provides adequate off-street parking to prevent traffic congestion, nuisance, and inconvenience in the area. And the hours of operation are appropriate considering the effects on adjacent uses. And that the primary architectural features of the proposal, including but not limited to bulk, scale, roof shape, building materials, exterior cladding and shape, and size and relationship of doors and windows, shall be visually compatible with nearby buildings in the case of a new building, or with the original building in the case of an addition. And that the proposal will not substantially alter the character or stability of the surrounding adjacent uses. Review of the municipal planning strategy, 15.2. Section 15.2.2 is satisfied as the proposed structure on the subject property would meet the criteria for the issuance of a development permit once the rezoning is completed. And section 15.2.3 is satisfied as a crematorium facility is a permitted use in the rural commercial zone. All requirements of the bylaws of the municipality can be satisfied by the proposal. There are no conflicts between the proposal and any municipal or provincial programs in effect in the municipality, which satisfies section 15.2.4. The subsections 15.2.5.1 through 15.2.5.7 are satisfied by the proposal as there are no costs levied to the municipality by the proposal, and all services would be on-site services which are the responsibility of the owner. The site is large and site drainage from the proposed construction is able to be accommodated within the large lot structure. Sections 15.2.6, .7, and .8 are satisfied as the setback distances from adjacent residential users are adequate. There are no processes proposed which would generate significant nuisance effects, and there will be adequate parking within the large lot provided for the operation. The hours of use and the small volume of users of the facility are not expected to generate any substantial traffic congestion or interference with normal traffic patterns. Therefore, sections 15.2.9, 15.2.10, and 15.2.11 are satisfied. Compliance with provincial regulations. The required commercial access to the site has been granted a verbal approval with conditions by the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal, and confirmation for an approval to install an on-site sewage disposal system for the property by the Department of Environment has been obtained. Conclusion and recommendation. The application and request to amend the land use bylaw to rezone a 3.7 acre portion of the subject property PID 9013449 Brooklyn Road, Brooklyn, from a rural development to a rural commercial for the development and operation of a crematorium facility satisfies all of the municipal planning strategy policy criteria and land use planning bylaw provisions of the municipality for the proposed use and zone. It is the recommendation of the undersigned, Brad Fulton, that the council amend the land use bylaw by zoning the subject property as requested. And this concludes the report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Councilors, you've heard and you've had the opportunity to read the report and so on. I guess at this time I would ask staff, have you had any written submissions and or telephone calls?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have 3 written submissions and several telephone calls.
Okay. Would we know if those people are in the audience this evening? They are? Okay. Then I believe also, I'm quite confident in saying the developer is in the audience. Okay, fine. When a public hearing is entertained by council, it is the opportunity for residents to either send in submissions or make verbal comments during the meeting. What I am going to do is I am going to open the floor. Any person that wishes to speak can have 5 minutes to make your comments and your concerns. At that time, either the CAO or Dwayne may be able to answer and or the chair, the deputy warden, John Cunningham, may be able to answer some of your concerns or questions at this time. Yes. So what we will be doing is asking you, if you wish to have some comments, to come down to the mic and make your comments. We would ask that you state your name so that the recording secretary can take down, and she'll be just jotting down notes. I would also ask my fellow councilors to take the opportunity to jot down any notes or any concerns that the resident may have so that we can keep track. So the floor is open to anybody if you wish to come down. Don't be shy. Really, you must have concerns, so please bring them forward. The developer is here also. He wants to hear your concerns. He's not here to shoot you down or anything. He wants to hear your concerns, and he may be able to address them. But right now, the floor is open, so please. Darren, come on down here.
Thanks, Leland.
Yes. Just state your name, please, Darren.
My name's Darren Symes. I live on the Brooklyn Road. I'm a couple houses down. I have severe lung problems, and I'm scared for the pollution that's going to come out of there. Any pollution is too much for me, with 18% of my lung capacity left. And I'm concerned about if we ever decide to sell the house, who's going to want to live next to a crematorium. So the price of your house is going to drop, and stuff like that, I guess.
You're looking at resale value, you said.
Well, I'm thinking resale value. I mean,
Okay.
who wants to live next to a crematorium? Like, we're all here opposing it, so.
Yes. Okay. No, good point,
And me
Darren.
with lung problems, and I can present medical stuff as soon as my doctor gets back in town, because he's out on vacation as well.
No, I can vouch for you. I know. I realize.
So,
Yeah.
so that's my complaint.
Please.
Good evening, everybody. I don't think I've met everybody in the Brooklyn area, so it's good to be all here in the same room tonight. So hello, my name is Jeremy Watkins. I live at 82 Brooklyn Road, across the street from the proposed site. I believe Jeff is here as well. We share the same driveway. And their family actually owned the 3 white houses, I believe, in Brooklyn at one point. So there was a nice big farmland up there and a big community farm that happened. And I believe the proposed land across the way used to be the Brooklyn mill, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. So the stream that used to go through there used to mill all the wood that used to build all the ships that used to work the harbor here before we had a lighthouse. So if anybody knows their history, sorry for pounding my hand. So just to voiced sort of the same concerns as before. You say it's your digression on what the form said. There was little emissions, little noise. I don't know what that means exactly, but it doesn't mean there's zero emissions or zero noise that's going to be taking place. I guess the general question would be, is there any research that's been done, real research that's been done on what the emissions of a crematorium does to a residential house that's within proximity? What does it do to the nature? I have hardwood trees, full-grown 100-year-old wood trees that have survived, and you know, between our two properties, the property to the side of me that I can't remember my neighbor's name right now, but we all like to keep our property very nice and upkept as possible, and beautification thereof of it. So I'm worried that my trees are something's gonna affect the environment. We garden up there. The bedroom facing the road, my master bedroom, the window opens up to get that southerly wind when it's nice and foggy and hot. What's going to happen when those winds are pushing those emissions up the hill and up to the top of the hill where my house is? And is there a projected forecast on what's going to happen to property values? What am I going to have to pay more land taxes because of this, or less, or is there any kind of projection on what's going to happen there, if any of that kind of material could be got? I would encourage council to look at those variables, please, and put those into consideration before making any decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate it. Is there any, John, do you wish?
My name's John Tinkham, and I live on the Hardscratch Road. Basically, it would be, this subject property is probably about 300 feet away from my back line of the property. I would assume most the councillors or all councillors have a copy of what was emailed to the council. We have questions regarding the crematorium as to why it would be allowed to be located in a residential, highly residential area there. What's wrong with the industrial park? Or what's wrong with even property in their own facilities, a separate building to be constructed on their existing property? Have they entertained that idea? I assume they would have. Chance of emitting smoke and odor. It's only a machine. It does break down, I'm sure. And there is some concern of mine and other people about the possible emitting of smoke and odor. It has been known that crematoriums do emit them, and I would assume theirs is probably 30 years old or something like that. I don't know whether it's going to be a brand new one or whether it will be relocating their existing. However, there are concerns that should be addressed. Residents of Brooklyn and Hardscratch Road need less traffic on their roads I can picture on occasion, from time to time, transports bringing everyday use material in there. Maybe not every day they would be there, but different days. And I do believe that there's not enough clearance with the Department of Transportation because of the hill that's nearby will restrict that usage from residential to, I know it's going residential commercial, but it still is a commercial application. And I guess finally, we are against amending the bylaw from RD to RC. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate that. Is there anybody else?
Hi, my name is Carol Ann Sams. I live on the Brooklyn Road. My biggest concern, as well as my husband being sick and all, I have 3 grandchildren that come over every weekend. And my oldest granddaughter has a very bad heart. And we play outdoors all weekend, every weekend. And she has to be monitored for what she eats and what she, if there's anything, if the air is too thick or whatever. And I'm afraid that if we do get this and that happens, that we're gonna be stuck indoors. You know, and I'm trying my best to get them off iPads to play outdoors with them. And so I'm more worried about my grandchildren. Are they gonna be allowed to come if that is in place and it smells and there's emissions? And another concern I have, I like clothes on the line, and they tell me I'm not gonna be able to probably use that anymore, and that's my biggest thing, is putting clothes on the line every day. So there is, I know it's just minimal stuff, but it's still a concern, and it's still something I don't want to change in my life. But my grandchildren is my biggest worry right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you. You know, I'm just going to make a quick comment pertaining to hanging clothes on the line. One of the best things you can do is hang clothes outdoors and get the nice fresh air and so on. So yeah, that's a valid concern. It's on. Yeah. Go ahead.
My name is, excuse me, my name is Mike Sanford, and my principal concerns would be the pollution and the health effects. I think if any of you were to do a quick Google search, you would find hopefully that it's not fake news, that there are concerns, and that many towns, cities, and municipalities in North America, in fact across the world, have banned crematoriums in residential settings. So for me, it's a pretty simple issue to understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else? It's your opportunity, please. I mean, councillors need all the information they can possibly get to make a decision. And where it affects our residents, we're very concerned. We're also very concerned about any developer that, or any development that we can entertain in the municipality is also important to the well-being of the municipality. So, I mean, we have to weigh both sides. So anything that you can tell us now, so we can have that in full discussion, is very important. After we make a decision, and somebody says to a councillor in 3 days' time, well, this, or this, you know, it's kind of late. So please don't be afraid of that little mic there. If you don't like the mic, just shut it off and just talk louder, eh? If that's what's bothering you. But please come forward and share your concerns. If not, I'm gonna close that part of the meeting. I'm gonna allow that. I knew that would coax somebody out.
I'm Lucille Tinkham, and I guess my main question is, why don't they go to a residential or a
Go commercial.
commercial?
Yep.
There's one down on the Hard Scratch Road, there's the one in Hebron, is there one not by the airport? Is,
That, no.
No,
That would be in
okay.
the town there is, yeah.
okay, but there are commercial, why not go there? Why stick it in a residential area? Thank you.
Just a minute. Oh, just.
My name's Jeff Forbes. My mother owns the land next to the west side of the proposed development. I'm just wondering, the driveway runs along the boundary line, so I'm wondering if they're planning to just cut the trees down and put the driveway along that boundary line. Some of those trees are probably coming to the end of their natural life cycle, so I'm wondering if they're planning to replant those trees to help block the view, or if they're planning to put up a fence along the boundary line that would help block the view as well, if this goes forward.
Which side were you asking?
On the west side.
Okay. Okay.
And I guess I'm wondering what what that will do to the value of the property that she owns next to that. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else wish to make a comment? Hearing, oh, no, go ahead.
Just one minute.
No?
My name's John Stevenson. I live on the Hard Scratch Road. I just, everything that was said, I really agree with what they've been saying. I usually never talk to anybody.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that why is it not on a commercial property? Why are we rezoning? Because I know there's commercial property out there they could use. And I guess that was my biggest concern, instead of rezoning what we have now. And there was a comment, I think, about trees blocking the view from residences. I thought they were talking about the Brooklyn Road. There is no trees there right now. So I'm not sure what trees you were referring to, except for on the east side between the property and Hard Scratch Road.
I think it must be the setback from the road, from the Brooklyn Road, that they're thinking the trees in the front along Brooklyn Road. Maybe my picture is old, but there's trees all along the,
Beside the residence on the
no, it'd be on the south side.
south
Brooklyn Road.
side.
Be on the side that they'd like to have rezoned. And the setback from the road was 300? Was
300 back from the
300
road?
From the road, 330
Okay.
feet, I think, was the, so there is trees, there is a buffer of trees.
There is some trees there.
Yeah, from the front of the road to the back of the, or to where they
I just didn't
wish to build.
visualize it in my mind where the trees were
Yeah.
lining up on the,
Yeah.
for a buffer, so,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, no.
yeah. Okay. I can do something like an auction. Who wants to be next? I'll be honest with you. As I said, Mr. Huskelson is here, and he's going to have an opportunity to speak. It's usually what isn't done, but if somebody has a short comment after he gets through making his presentation and answering some of the questions, if somebody has a short comment or a concern that they have, I'll allow that. I won't allow a long discussion or anything like else. This is his opportunity to explain to you as residents what he would like to do and like to see happen to that property in moving forward and so on. Okay, you understand that after he's through, that if there's some other comments, I'll allow that, but only short. Mr. Huskelson, if you and Mac wish to come down. Mac? Oh, I'm sorry. Deputy Warden, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. There was a comment made by Mr. John Tinkelman. He made a point about the line of sight. He didn't understand why the Department of Transportation would allow a rezoning there. That is not within the municipality districts of Yarmouth's purview. What happens when a developer wants to change a zone from rural development to rural commercial? They have to meet line of sight distances.
Yes.
And where they propose to put their driveway and the measurements, and you spoke about hills and stuff and the speed, that is all determined by the Department of Transportation. So if you have an issue in that regards to the Department of Transportation allowing that sort of driveway to go there, that has to be brought up to them. That is not brought forward to the municipality district of Yarmouth. We would only proceed with a rezoning only if they met, or the line of sight distances were met for that driveway on that property. And that's the reason why it's here. We did receive permission from the Department of Transportation that they met the sight line distances. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Mr. Huskell?
First, to answer Mr. Tinkham, I do have the approved commercial access with me here, and I can provide that to council also.
Yes.
I've omitted, I'll omit much of what I've brought here to say, and I'll focus more on directly answering the concerns that have been brought to my attention.
Can you pull the mic a little closer?
Sure.
Please?
Yeah. Presently, the crematorium at 29 Albert meets all environmental regulations which set forth by the province and the Department of Environment. Our last environmental inspection was completed in June. The closest residence to our crematorium at this point in time is 70 feet. And the residences all around where I am now are able to hang out their laundry. It hasn't been a problem for that. The property at 0 Brooklyn Road is 18 acres. It's both elevated and raw, allowing us to keep the tree line as a buffer to the properties to the east of Milford Lloyd and Phyllis Kendall. We intend to keep a buffer of trees in the north, hiding the building from the Brooklyn Road as well. Our new closest residence would be in excess of 65 meters, 195 feet away. We would also be 100 meters from the Brooklyn Road, 310 meters from Highway 101, 200 meters from John Stevenson's lot, and 200 meters from the Tinkham property in the south, again protected from the southern tree line. The only place we may not be buffered and hidden is to the west, and there are no residences in that direction, and we do not anticipate to be seen the 310 meters away from the highway. The work we do is very delicate. It's not tasteful. But it is needed. And so it's in my best interest to find a place out of sight and out of mind. This is why 0 Brooklyn Road has been appealing, because it does all of this. From an environmental standpoint, we already meet and exceed all standards at our present place of business. The new place would house a new crematorium that meets and exceeds the standards set in Ontario, which are much more stringent than ours. We all know that environmental regulations and standards are increasingly restrictive, especially on activities such as this. This proposal is to ensure that we continue to meet and exceed the standards as they rise with time. If rezoning were to happen, our next step would be with the Department of Environment, working with them to get approvals in place to operate in the new location. In terms of smoke, there have been times that any crematorium could smoke, and that is usually with parts malfunction or when power unexpectedly goes out. Through routine maintenance, this problem is less apt to happen. The crematorium manufacturer that we seek is located in Canada. Unlike our current crematorium and most in the province, we will have better access to parts, technicians, and support, versus relying on importing both parts and qualified technicians when we need them from the U.S. Emissions. I cannot attest to the amount in part per millimeter for our current retort, but again, we already meet and exceed the present standards set by the Department of Environment. Now, I can tell you what the new machine that we intend to have meets, but it's not going to mean much to anybody here, I don't believe. The new retort states it would not have a concentration of oxygen in the undiluted flue gas leaving the secondary chamber recorded by the CEM system less than 6% by volume on a dry basis, calculated on a 10-minute average. The half-hour average of concentration of CO2 into the undiluted flue gases leaving the secondary chamber shall have a target level of not more than 100 parts per million by volume on a dry basis, normalized to 11% oxygen at a reference temperature of 25 degrees Celsius and a reference pressure of 101.3 kilopascals. Odors. We currently do not have any complaints on file of odors in our present location, and we would not expect to have any complaints at the Brooklyn Road. Noise. We have had one complaint of noise at 29 Albert. The town bylaw officer came by to inspect about 2 years ago, and he did a test on the site with the machine at full capacity and found that we were within the accepted decibels. Again, the new machines are much quieter, and the building would be built with an emphasis on keeping sound in mind. Everything we're doing on this project is to exceed the newest and highest standards that will come. While I know there are some not happy with our proposal, I feel it's vital in keeping with the times and continuing to offer our services to the best possible standards that we hold ourselves accountable to. Every decision has been thought out and how to be away from the general public, how to implement the best practice to make the least impact on the surrounding citizens and the environment. Thank you.
At this time, I'd ask my fellow councillors, do you have any questions you wish to direct to Mr. Huskilson? Councillor Cush.
Yes, Mr. Huskilson, referring back to Jeremy Watkins' concern about his southern exposure and the southerly wind coming up and possibly affecting with some odors or I hope not any type of smoke or ash and whatnot. I'm assuming you're aware the prevailing winds are from the southwest and west, so he would be hardly exposed to any of that type of wind direction if anything did go wrong. Have you taken that into consideration at all?
We have taken that into consideration. I can tell you that in the last, it's something that does not happen, it doesn't happen once a year, it doesn't happen once every 3, it really may not happen once every 5, it may not happen once every 10, especially with a new machine. When I flew to Toronto to see this machine where they had it, and they had 3 of them running all at the same time. And there's houses, apartment buildings. Everybody's window would have been up where the emissions go. They're built with these fans that drive the emissions very, very high, very, very fast. Mm-hmm. And furthermore, they are built to clean the air as best they can, which is far better than the standard that operators are using now here in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, I can appreciate you're looking into this to your new crematorium furnace, I guess you would call it, right? However, on the letters of concern, we noted some different areas across the country that have developed problems. Is that because of inadequate furnaces or lack of regulation, or what was those concerns? Why would they come up, sort of thing? just of,
If you could give me specifics of where and when, I'm unaware that too many come up. I can tell you that I am sourcing out of Toronto, and I can tell you that Ontario has they have the hardest restrictions on these machines.
Yeah.
And the manufacturer that we have selected, he has proven himself and his product in working in these highly residential areas all through Ontario. And again, some of the problem that most places have is when you have a problem that you need fixed, you're calling the US, you're not calling Canada.
yeah.
They're not a phone call away.
Okay, and again, I appreciate, I'm really happy to hear that you went to Ontario for where they have the strictest regulations around, and one of the articles that are in our package here is talking about BC where there's no regulation, so I can understand some of the concerns there, but if you're following very strict restrictions in Ontario, I certainly like your due diligence, but I also can express the thanks for the general public coming here and voicing their concerns, which they should be, and hopefully that you'll be able to answer some of their questions. And
I project in the not too distant future that the same standards that are held in Ontario, they'll be here, and this is why I want to be ahead of it.
Leader.
I want to have, the Department of Environment has their standard. I'm 5th generation. My family's been doing this for 140 years. I have my own, and it's higher.
Yeah, I understand that. I appreciate your explanation, and I.
Thank you.
Councillor Cunningham?
Thank you for coming in your presentation, and thank you to the residents for coming in and voicing concerns. And generally speaking, I think most of the concerns lie around potential emissions on the site, and again, I think it was mentioned that in the report, and I think Mr. Watkins talked about the report saying the emissions are minimal, water minimal, and these are the questions the residents have. So it's our ability to quantify what's right, and rightly, many people have talked about provincial regulation, and the provincial regulation does apply certainly to the access to the property. That's Councillor Cunningham was quite correct in saying that had been clearly in the submission. That's adherent to their regulation. So that piece is okay. The piece about the emissions, what I would like to I'd like to do our due diligence around that. Certainly that is regulated by the province.
Yes, it is.
What I'm hearing is the standard of the equipment that you're going to bring to the site is higher than that regulation. But what I'd like to have before moving forward is the full technical specifications sent. It's just a matter of us verifying, and I think certainly residents want that due diligence done on their behalf. It is a provincial jurisdiction, so for us the environment is a tricky matter because it's not certainly in our purview. It doesn't apply necessarily to us. That's their regulation for them to enforce, and we certainly don't have the expertise around this table to get too deeply into the environmental issues. That's better left to that level of government. But having said that, I would like, I'd like to request through the warden that be sent to us, and so that we can evaluate that and ask the department ourselves if that complies with. And I know you've said that, but I'd like to do our due diligence and check that for ourselves. Yeah.
And just to let to put your mind at ease, this is step 1. Step 2 is an environment. And if I'm not up to code, and if the machine's not up to standard, they are not going to let me put it in there. That's step 2. So step 1 is rezoning so that the purchase of the land goes through. Step 2 is with environment, and that's where I'm taking a risk because they could say no. But that risk is fine by me. I know We just passed our emissions test, or not emissions test, we passed our environmental check in June, and we are highly regulated. I know people don't think that we are, but we are, and those regulations are getting tighter every day.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor LeBlanc.
Thank you for coming, residents and Mr. Huskelson. If I was in your shoes, the public, and concerned as you are, I would find out where there's crematoriums here, and there's two, as I understand. There's one that's next to McDonald's. It's next to Nova Scotia Service, which there's a lot of people that are working. Kentucky Fried Chicken. I would go and ask those people what they think, if they have any problems. Then there's yours. There's the Catholic Church, or the people that you have mentioned that live right there, 70 feet from your service there. I would go ask that person, those people, what do you think? Has the value of your house gone down? Do you think it's gone down? I don't know who can answer that until you sell it, or maybe go see a real estate. I don't have an opinion right now on which way I would vote, but that would be my concern, is to go see somebody that's involved in such an area. Thank you.
Any other councillor? Not yet, John. Any other councillor have any? Go ahead, Councillor Allen.
Thanks for coming in. A couple questions. I heard a few of the people in the public. What drew you to here? Like, why? I guess I'm going to ask the question. I'm assuming it's probably basic economics, but how come you didn't just expand where you're at on your location? Was it not possible, or?
As my lot that I'm on is under 1 acre. So I'll read you what I omitted.
Sorry.
No problem. My lot is just about an acre in there, okay? So we've got a very small parking lot, half the parking lot, not half, about at least 4, maybe 6 places of the parking lot are taken up by the propane tank itself that feeds the crematorium. So separating the cremation aspect from my business and moving it to this new site, this would allow to make many changes in our existing building to better serve our clients. People with mobility issues would no longer have to get downstairs to our merchandise room, as it would be brought up on one level. Furthermore, with the extra space, we could build on another arrangement office so we can better meet and greet our clients, help them through their difficult time in a professional private area. And again, the propane tank that feeds the crematorium takes up a large portion of our parking lot out front. This would allow for less cars parked on the streets of Albert and William during our services, and have more room for handicap spots right in front of our door. So we're really crunched in there for space.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I've had to go to your building.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're not going to be operating 2 crematoriums. You're going to close down the one you have and move the operation out to Brooklyn.
It is my plan to eventually decommission the machine that I have and have the new machine placed outside of that facility.
Okay, and to one of the gentleman's comments as well, what type of traffic comes in and out, generally?
It'd be the traffic that'll come in and out of there on a daily basis will be a crematorium operator going there on days that we need to use it, and other vehicles will be going there to bring remains there. And I would say on an average day, it'd be the same as a resident, because you're only going to have one guy going in, one guy coming out. he might go to lunch, and then there might be another guy come to drop off and leave. And that's basically going to be the run of the day there. Now, that's not to say when we do, if this goes through and we go to build, yes, we're going to be in there, we're going to be building.
Yeah.
But after that, it's going to quiet down, and it would be my hopes that the reason that we looked at this spot is I thought that it would be pretty much non-existent. We could be tucked away from the trees on one side, hidden from the other, open to the highway, 18 acres instead of 1. And that's why it was appealing to me.
Okay.
And I do, your concerns are all very valid, and I'm very glad to have heard them, to make sure that we would be looking at every option.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councillor Durkee?
Thank you, and thanks to everybody. It's actually very interesting to hear two different perspectives. Mr. Huskilson, how long has there been a crematorium on Albert Street?
Since 1993.
Okay, thank you. And how often would this crematorium be used? Like, is it going to be used daily, or, I mean,
Potentially, it could be used daily.
It could
and it might not get used during the day. It might get used in the evening or at night. We never really know. You know, some people request, and it's on the basis of need, and on you guys all know we never know when we're going to be busy.
Okay.
I can tell you with the rising choices going towards cremation that it will be needed.
Right. Thank you. And so does the machine actually produce some smoke that is emitted, and is there ash in that?
There is heat that's visible. We haven't had a complaint of ash. They should not smoke. If a machine smokes, then the technician's supposed to come and adjust things, and it, like I say, that doesn't happen often, and I mean not often at all, hardly ever. And that's when you would have some adjustments made. Again, my standard is the new machine, which has more and more attributes to make that less likely and to make emissions that much less.
I do understand Mr. Sam's issue with having a major lung issue, so that would be a concern. And you know, I would be interested in do a little research about people living near that.
We, right around Albert Street, I can look out my windows and see easily 80 to 100 residences within eyesight that are all closer than the furthest residence at this location would be. And again, from my perspective, and it's not the perspective of, and I understand that, but it's appeasing to know that it would be making a difference, because they're all residences there too. And if I had a stack of complaints this high, we wouldn't be sitting here, but we don't.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Questions? I only have a couple of simple ones. It's on my fellow councillors here, Daniel, or Councillor Allen, Councillor Durkee kind of was, I was concerned because going through the list right from the start of Mr. Sams, then his wife, et cetera, and down through John Tinkham and so on, a couple of the concerns there was on the traffic, and Daniel, I think, also brought that up. I wanted to know, is this a daytime business? Is this an evening business? And you kind of answered that. It's not like from 8 in the morning till 5 at night style thing. So there is nighttime. And so my question would now go to, how late are we talking? I don't expect somebody 2 o'clock in the morning. Do you work at 2 o'clock in the morning?
I do, yes. Yeah.
So there could possibly...
If the need is there,
okay,
then I'm there. It's, you know, we're an at-need base. You know, we're at need. I would hope that that it wouldn't be. That would only be done if it really had to be. But as you know, in our business, we don't tell anybody, no, I'm sorry, we'll get to that tomorrow.
Yeah. no, I understand.
Yeah.
And so on. So there could be times when there might be 3 days when there's nothing.
Absolutely.
Question then, do you do this on a Sunday?
Yes, every day of the week.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
I just want to know. I don't know if.
If we have to. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm the same as anybody else. If I don't have to work Sunday, I'm not going.
No, okay, no, I understand that. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not a, hey, we got a lot to do on Monday, we'll,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, no, I just trying to, you have to fully understand that we, my fellow councillors and I, represent the people behind you.
Absolutely.
And they are our first concern.
Yes.
On anything. They've brought a lot of good, valid points forward. The one that, like you say, gentleman that has breathing problems and so on.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Watkins on if he sleeps with the window open, is there, those are valid questions from the people because they have concerns and you just want to know. You can answer them and you have answered some of their questions. Whether you've satisfied their thoughts, that I can't say because I'm not them. But through the municipal land strategy and so on, it has met all the criteria for rezoning and so on. Now it's just up to my fellow councillors to make a decision whether we go forward. I do want, and the deputy warden, maybe he's going to bring it up here now. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I only have one more question. You missed me before you started on your rant.
Oh,
You've
okay.
been known to talk quite a bit,
Yeah.
so ain't I, obviously. It's always a fine balancing act between developing business in the municipality, since we're so rural, and the people's concerns of the community. I've been through this a few times. And one question I did want to ask you, if council decided that we wanted some more information like Councillor Trevor Cunningham had mentioned, would it be, I guess, are you working up against a deadline if council deferred their decision?
I do have a deadline in, yes. Again, this is set up subject to sale, so no rezone, no sale. And the vendor is looking to sell right away.
Because in all reality, council has three choices here, and I'm going to be bringing this request forward after the public hearing because that's my duty as a planning advisory chair.
Yeah.
But we really had three options, or really two options, but I was just trying to find out if it was possible that we could possibly defer a decision on this next month, but by the sounds of the answer you gave me, no. One more thing that I want to mention to the public, if council does approve this rezoning or denies the rezoning request, you will, whether it's the proponent or the public, you have an opportunity through the Utility and Review Board to go and is the word, what's the one I look for, contest? Appeal, yes, appeal the decision of what council makes tonight. So if council, whatever we decide tonight, you do have that choice, say, no, you're wrong. In that way there, you would set up a public hearing in front of a judge, and we, municipality, have to put forward our case, the reason why, and so with the proponent. So just so you know, because this process, if it's the first time you've gone through it, it's very confusing, but there is an avenue that both the residents and the proponent has, just so you know. And that was my only comment.
Okay. Couple more. Go ahead, Councillor Cushion.
Oh, excuse me. There's one question, I don't know if it was answered or not, and when you're talking about at times be late at night perhaps, is there a loud noise coming from this operation?
According to the bylaw officer's report, in the town of Yarmouth, we fell within that.
The noise level, yes,
The noise
I
level.
understand. But again, are you working for above that standard to make it?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
With both the development of the building, sound would be addressed, and the newer machines are half as quiet as
Okay.
the old one, so.
And the setback that you suggested certainly indicates that you are quite a distance from any resident. However, on a on a very windy southerly wind, noise can travel. So there's a possibility there. But again, yeah. You know.
I'm sure that it can and it would. Noise would be that wouldn't be a large concern of mine, based on, you know, especially knowing that the nearest property residence would be now 3-4 times as far as away as what one is now.
Okay. No, thank you for your answer.
You do have the buffer of trees and so
That's
on in
correct.
between. Because I can't remember which person asked the question, were you going to be taking, asked the question about, are you taking trees down? If you do take trees down, are you going to replant with some ornamental trees from Dayton Fruit and Vegetable or something? Did I say that?
Actually, as I said before, we intended to put the driveway in, leave as many trees as possible to have that buffer zone. It was my first plan to put that in there so it's not seen at all, out of sight and out of mind, because I know that this isn't everyday stuff that we're talking about and that we're dealing with. So.
Okay, if there's no further questions from council, I did, John, I hadn't forgot you, but I told the public you could have some other questions, but just short ones and so on. John, go ahead, you have the floor.
4 or 5 days ago, I was into the registry of motor vehicles to do personal business, and I asked a couple of the employees in there regarding next door. And relatively favorable comments, but they were not all positive.
Okay.
There was some concerns expressed, and they make the appropriate phone call, and the problem is looked after and cleared up, and it's happened on several occasions as well.
Okay.
An employee told me in there.
Okay.
And if there is a nightly operation, keep in mind, I'm 300 feet away with my bedroom window open, and can get lots of air through that window.
I understand, sir.
Right to the eastward of you.
Yeah, good question. Go ahead, Mr. Sting.
My big question is, your crematorium right now is a particular size. Is this one going to be a larger one?
This one would be slightly larger than that one. It wouldn't be up to the next, it wouldn't be substantially larger. It's larger because it's a different manufacturer, and the unit itself is very similar. It'd be within 1 foot wider or less and longer. It wouldn't be a huge machine.
Because it's my understanding right now, either to Bridgewater or Halifax, you have to send remains of a larger remains to be cremated.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
Am I not correct on that?
You would be correct on that.
Okay, so now you will be able to look after these?
The capability of the present machine that I'm looking at has a capacity for 600 pounds.
Okay, then you would be able to.
Up if we felt comfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
We would and we always have traveled to Bridgewater.
Yes, I know, and same with your competition.
Yes.
Travels to Bridgewater. So this actually would be involved, there'd be more cremations down here at this new facility than the existing.
Oh, that I can tell you that my firm probably 3 times a year maximum going to Bridgewater. It doesn't happen very often.
Mm-hmm.
And so there wouldn't be the offset.
I'm thinking of, like, for instance, Digby.
Yeah.
Why would they go to Bridgewater or Halifax where they could come here? I'm just thinking that
Okay.
there could be more that way.
No, Digby goes where they go because they own the place where they go.
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
giving that for an example.
Yeah. Yarmouth only has a certain population, and presently the need is where it is. We're seeing that need rise a little bit each year, but not substantially at once. So as far as, people from Digby coming here, I don't foresee that. Yeah.
And you mentioned when you were talking about fumes or things from the facility, that they go high into the air, but they still come back down.
I can attest to, all I have is what they've given me, and to go from a machine that I told you was installed in 1993 to a machine that was developed, more recently, that we are already at the standard as far as the environment is concerned, and that standard, my standard, would be to be getting much better.
Can you guarantee us that there'll be no fumes from your new machine?
I don't believe any crematorium owner or operator could guarantee that, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Darren, go ahead.
And that's where my concern comes in. You can't guarantee the emissions. I got 18% of my lungs. So you're telling me I'm gonna die 5-6 years early? And the other thing is I did what you asked. I went to places. I've been in the ball field watching ball games a million times, and I've seen stuff come out of that thing with my own eyes. And if you don't believe it, you guys go sit there and watch a ball game, you'll see it too. And you'll smell it, and I've talked to neighbors, and they said the same thing.
Okay. Like I said, we're not going to get into a push-pull style match. No, it's a good comment though, Darren. That I appreciate.
A little emission. Well, guess what? Little emission is going to kill everything.
Yes. No. Understand. Come in.
Once this commercial zone comes in, and this gentleman builds the facility he's going to build, is there anything in this land use that stops him or restricts him from expanding?
You can answer that.
He
Mr.
owns
Ward.
3 and some odd acres. Is there anything to stop him if he wants to expand?
Go ahead, Victoria.
So expansion would have to comply with any provincial or federal regulations, as well as our building regulations and land use bylaw regulations in terms of setbacks and variances. So there are things in place to restrict expansion on any plot of land by any type of activity, residential or commercial. So yes, there are things around that restrict how you use land and how you develop land. To say exactly what those restrictions would be, we can't say, because we don't know what the proposed expansion or addition to a building or anything might be.
So that piece of land could be expanded. It doesn't have to be a 28 by 48 building.
It does. So the approval for the development permit directly relates to what was submitted as a proposal by the proponent.
Going to my deputy warden, then.
Yes, and one more point. He is only asking to rezone a 3.7 acre portion. If the setbacks and stuff needed him to rezone other portions of that land, he would have to go through the exact same process, and you would be notified the exact same way as you are right now.
So what would stop him? I mean, if you go ahead today and say, okay, you can do it, why wouldn't you say, okay, you can expand?
Well, because it's not the whole property where you are rezoning. It's only a 3.7 acre portion.
Yeah, well,
of.
I mean, he can expand on that 3.7.
Yeah, he can't. He has to get approval from council to expand that 3.7 acre plot that he's rezoning. For example, he can't build the building where he is now, and then on another portion of the land, he can't go and build another one without rezoning it from rural development to rural commercial.
No,
So
you still use it that 3.7 acres.
yes, within that 3.7 acres, he can.
And if you do it once, why can't you guys agree twice?
Well, we don't know that.
No.
We don't know that because as municipal councilors, we do not set forward the regulations of the department, like he had mentioned, the Department of Environment. We have absolutely no say on what regulations they are. They might, to be very honest, I don't know what the regulations for crematoriums are for the Department of Environment. That would have to be looked up through the provincial government on their online site. So I don't know if they have to have setbacks, if they can put one right on top of the other. I can't answer that.
The lady, you had a question, go ahead.
I was wondering, Huskisson's has other funeral homes, Barrington and whatnot, am I right?
That's correct.
Do you bring your cremations from there? Would they be coming to Brooklyn?
They-
To cremate everybody in town, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yes,
But-
yes, we do, and we always have, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they would be coming
Yeah.
also in that
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you a question. I
Mhm.
don't know if you're a dad, whatever,
Mhm.
but if you wanted to buy a house in Brooklyn and it was beside a crematorium, would you buy it and raise a family there? Would you do that yourself? Would you live beside a crematorium?
Knowing what I know, yes, I would,
Be comfortable?
but, yes, but I completely understand why you would not. I completely understand that what we do is not favorable, it's not tasteful.
It's necessary.
It is
It's life,
necessary.
and it's part of death, and
Yeah.
it's becoming more and more frequent, definitely. More and more people are cremated, and
Yes.
like you said, the number's only gonna get higher.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think at this time.
Sorry.
Okay, last one, go ahead.
I'm concerned about property values. My neighbor Lynn has talked to a broker, and she said they would definitely go down.
Okay. I didn't want to get into that style of a debate, you know, in retrospect, whether a person's property would go up or down. And I realize in a town situation, it doesn't matter what's next door, property values just always seems to go up and so on. So I don't know whether that would be the case out in the municipality or not, whether the values and so on would drop. That I can't say and so on. So at this time, we've had input from both the developer and from the general public. So I am looking for council's direction on what they'd like to do. Deputy Warden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. As the Planning Advisory Chair, I'm going to make a motion to approve the rezoning of the 3.7 acre portion subject property, PID number 901-34479 Brooklyn Road, from rural development to rural commercial.
You've heard the motion. Do we have a seconder for the motion? It's been moved by Deputy Warden John Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Gerard LeBlanc. Was there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? Question being called. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to apologize. I was supposed to say I was going to say nay. I was so concentrated. I was going to say yay. I'm sorry. I apologize. So it's 4-3. Am I right? 1, 2, 3. 3 were against. Show by hands who were for. Yeah. Yeah. I was so constant. So you got it? And those against? Okay, just 2. Okay. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Thank you to the public and so on. Appreciate it. Yes. Go to the Utility Review Board. Go ahead.
I guess, Mr. Chair, my question through you to the CAO is does the, or to our municipal solicitor, does the 14-day period start when it's advertised in the paper, or does it start now?
From the paper.
I have to look at it, I believe it's when it's advertised.
In the paper.
Yes,
zoning
I believe so as well, but I cannot confirm that. So from 14 days when it's advertised in the paper, the public has the ability to appeal council's decision on placing that here.
Okay. Now, if that be the case, and I know what some people are thinking is, well, how do you go about getting that information? Call here to the municipal office, and we can direct. Now, I am going to ask the CAO, do you know how that, is that done by an individual or by a group? If they have to have like 3 people sign or 4, you know, or
Done by individual.
can be done by an individual or group? Okay, I wasn't sure what was the easiest way. So please, if you feel that you're not satisfied, you're not happy, get a hold of the CAO. She'll give you all the information, etc., and so on, and go forward from there.
No, we're not.
No.
Maybe we can remember in the next election. Yeah, I think that's what they'll do.
Yeah.
They don't care about our property values at all, John.
How'd you like to have it in your back door?
Yeah, no, you want it in your back there.
Trevor, why did you vote for that?
And that's your people's right. Can I make a comment? Can I make a comment to you that are left, that are here? Our municipal planning strategy, if we had voted against it, the developer can go, and I'll tell you this, the utility review board would overrule us, because if it's in our municipal planning strategy, it is basically law. It's basically law. They'd come back within a very short period of time and overrule what council said. It's happened before. If it's what's in here, you know, we could have voted against it and he could have appealed it and it would have come back within 20 days or less that the development would go forward.
Still doesn't show where
I know.
voted against,
Def-
voted for
That's
it.
true.
They don't live in the area, so the property values don't appreciate.
That's possible. Yeah. We'll be moving on. Where's my paper here? .2, first reading. Property Access Clean Energy, the PACE Program Bylaw P088-18. You have that in your package. What is the wishes of council? Go ahead, Councillor.
Sorry, I just, again, lost my,
Same here. If I don't keep touching my computer, it goes down.
hold on. I lost my agenda. It's coming. Nope. Yay. Nope. Got it. Finally. The wrong date, though. Come on. Sorry.
I guess I'm going to ask the question of the CAO. Have we had any comments or anything pertaining to the PACE? You've had no?
No comments, no written submissions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
It's coming up.
So if you wish, you can just go to second reading. If you wish, move it to second reading.
I'm going to do that, but I just want to explain briefly what the PACE program is. So I'm making a motion to move to second reading, Property Assessed Clean Energy Program, PACE Bylaw P088-18.
Yes.
Which is, the PACE program means a program established by the municipality under which owners of qualifying properties may obtain financing for clean energy upgrades. And if anybody wants more information, they can contact our office.
I'll second that motion, because I believe you made a motion there, correct?
I did.
So I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion from council? Hearing none, are you ready for the question?
Question.
Question being called. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. 6.3, interest policy I-068-00. What is the wishes? Go. You're
I'd like
still
to, I'd like to make a motion to accept the interest policy I-068-00, which any taxes that were overpaid shall be refunded to get an interest rate of 6%. I'm just kind of lost my spot here. Liz, can you confirm, please, we were increasing the interest rates, correct?
The amendment is there to include the provision for interest in relation to the PACE bylaw,
Oh.
Councillor Durkee.
Thank you very much. I totally lost my spot. So the interest on the PACE loan will be calculated on the basis of the municipality's cost to borrow at the time of the effective date of the agreement plus 1%. And the interest will begin accruing when PACE improvement is completed as evidenced by certification from the CAO or 30 days after the date of the last invoice submitted for payment, whichever is earlier. So essentially what we're offering is a program to improve energy efficiency, and the cost of the loan would be added to your assessment.
So you're
Your
moving this
taxes.
to go to
I'm
second
moving
reading?
this.
To
No,
go
it's a
to,
policy.
go to second reading, does it not? You're moving to go to second reading?
No, it's just a policy.
Oh,
So I'm moving to accept the interest policy.
okay, we have a mover. Do we have a seconder? It's been moved by Councillor Durkee, seconded by Councillor Trevor Cunningham. Any discussion?
Question.
Question being called. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 7, new business arising. 7.1, possible open house, Port Maitland treatment plant. Councillor Durkee, you have the floor.
I'd like to, this is from the Committee of the Whole meeting, and I'd like to make a motion, do I have to make a motion? To request staff to hold an open house at the Port Maitland sewage treatment plant.
We have a mover. Do we have a seconder for that? You've been moved by Councillor Durkee, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Is there discussion on that motion? Deputy Warden.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I fully agree that we should be moving forward and being openly and transparent as we possibly can. However, what I'm scared of is the liabilities. I'm not sure if that place is set up for public viewing, where it's most generally an area where it only has worker access. I don't know how that would work, because there's generators, there's equipment, there's low-hanging pipes in there, because I've been in there. I can't remember if the tanks are enclosed. I'm a little concerned about that, but with saying that, I do believe that it's important that the public be as informed as they possibly can be, especially on something like a sewage treatment plant, number one, and number two, the issues that we've had out in that area in regards to beach closures, because I believe that we should be open, as transparent as possible.
Okay. Councillor Cunningham.
Right, I conceptually at first blush it looks like a good idea, but having said that, I think I don't know if it needed a motion. It's not in my mind a real governance. I don't know if we should be directing at this point without some feedback from our CAO. I don't know what the issues are around it, so I'm not certain if a motion in this case is the best way forward. I'm not saying we can't do it, but it's a non-financial matter. You know, I'd ask for clarity around that.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
So to answer the questions for clarification, a couple of things. So in this particular instance, it may be prudent to make it a matter of record should council wish to open the facility for public view, just because of the uncertainty around some of the dynamics in that community with respect to wastewater treatment issues. So just to have it on the record in terms of council being responsive to those inquiries, although it's not required, it may be prudent for council to do that. To answer Deputy Warden Cunningham's comments, quite right. It is not the type of facility where we would typically have members of the public or clients. However, arrangements could be made and a process could be arranged to provide for transparency in the processes that are used there, but provide for public safety in that. So it could be arranged for sure. Councillor Durkee, given the investigations that the Department of Environment are currently undertaking around that issue, I would ask you to consider possibly tabling the timing of that open house until the investigation is concluded, so as not to further aggravate the problem or potentially impact negatively in the Department of Environment's process or something like that. Those are my comments.
Go ahead, Councillor Durkee.
I would certainly agree to our CAO's wishes to just table that until after the investigation has been by the municipality, lands and forests, and the environment has been completed.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. The mover, you're all right with that? Or the seconder, you're all right with that, Gerard? You're all right with? Yeah. Okay, fine, thank you. We'll move on then. 7.2, grant request, Ignite Labs. It's from our September 12th Committee of the Whole meeting. We now have the complete grant application and financial information. So what is the wishes? I would recommend that council kind of err on the side of caution. They had, I think, was it three options, 2,000, 1,000, and 500 on the floor of our Committee of the Whole. The discussion was at first 500, then you went to 1,000. And I'm just asking council to maybe possibly err on the side of caution at this time. Go ahead, councillor.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we grant Ignite Labs from the Committee of the Whole recommendation $1,000.
It's been moved and seconded for 1,000. Is there any discussion pertaining to that motion? Hearing none, are you ready?
Well,
Go ahead.
I was just looking into the financial statement part of it, and I'm noticing that there seems to only be $2,000 upon. There isn't much for funding already allotted for this.
Sorry, Councillor Allen, on their part, you mean?
Yes.
Yep. So it's a new contest. It's a new program. And so they are actively soliciting scholarship sponsors. So that's right. There doesn't seem to be much yet. And the idea is the more sponsors, the more scholarship winners, the more youth in our community studying in this field.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Was there any further discussion on the question being called? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, nay? Nay. That's 2. Yes. (7.3) Request for value proposition presentation from the Western Wren's CAO from the September 12th Committee of the Whole meeting, and I'm going to turn that over to the CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So at the Committee of the Whole, there was a consensus to recommend to Council that the Chief Executive Officer of the Western Regional Enterprise Network and the Board Chair be invited to present the regional value proposition for economic development strategy to this Council. And I'm just requesting that that be ratified by Council so we can get them invited.
Yeah, so we're looking for a letter of invite. So do we just need consensus of Council, or should that be a motion? Just consensus? Then it's the consensus of Council to move forward on that. Okay, thank you. New business, 8.1, new website launch, CAO.
So I'll direct Council's attention to one of the 2 screens. It's my understanding that the project to redevelop the municipal website to achieve a number of goals is complete. After tonight's meeting, we will go live with what you see in front of you. You've had an opportunity to review the website. I want to thank staff for their commitment to this project. We haven't counted the hours this has taken, and it's probably a good thing. We haven't counted the hours. The website will be mobile friendly. It's more interactive. It certainly meets with the dynamics of today's reader in terms of reading from technology. Staff from all levels have been engaged in this redevelopment, from frontline staff all the way up through the directors and myself. So this was a project that was an open file when I came to you, and tonight we'll be bringing that file to a conclusion. It will be a living, breathing document. It will be on the directors' meeting agenda every month to make sure that our website is updated regularly, that it is practical, and it's timely for the use of citizens, visitors, and business owners. So we're not live tonight because your agendas, your links to your agenda and stuff you're using tonight. So after the meeting tonight, the current website address will no longer be what you see in front of you on your laptops. It will be what you see in front of you on the screens in council chambers. So I would like to thank staff for the work that they've done on this project. Everybody pulled equally from IT all the way on through, and they're to be commended for the quality of their work and their commitment to the value of the website.
Thank you very much. I'm just kind of looking, okay, I like that one. I think that one is a terrific one. Next time I see Eddie Nickerson, I'll make sure he goes to our site. I'm just waiting to see if there's any fishing boats. So, was there? Okay. Okay, they're there.
And I will just add, Mr. Chairman, if I can have just one more minute. The municipality of Yarmouth, through the District Planning Commission and the municipality of Argyle, have sharing a drone. And so the next thing that will get added to this in terms of layers will be some video footage of some of our assets and some of our facilities. So stay tuned.
Okay. The only thing then I'm asking is don't fly over District 7 down my area, because you'll see me hanging out clothes. So go ahead, Deputy Warden.
If they're looking for video content that's currently exists and is currently used, which highlights a lot of the municipality district of Yarmouth, drone footage from Yasta.
Yeah.
We have some beautiful drone footage of the Yarmouth Light exclusively.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a great start as well.
Okay. Again, to the CAO, thank the staff from council. We appreciate their due diligence. So on. 8.2, the August development report. What is the wishes of council on that? Looking for a motion to accept. Councillor Allen.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the August development report as presented.
Been moved. Do we have a seconder? Been seconded by Mr. Cushion, Councillor Cushion. Is there any discussion? Question on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. 8.3, fall cleanup. You have the information. I'm just going to repeat it here real quick for the general public. If you have normal collection on Monday, the fall cleanup day for you would be Friday, October 5th. If your normal collection day is on a Tuesday, it would be October 6th. If your collection day is on Wednesday, it would be October 12th for the fall cleanup. And if you have collection on Thursday, your fall cleanup would be October 13th. You can go to the Yarmouth Municipality website and you can see a list of all the items that are accepted and not accepted, or you can go to Waste Checks website and see the same thing there. 8.4, December council meeting. I'll turn that over to the to the CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So typically the habit of council has been to have one meeting in the month of December in order to facilitate Christmas activities. And it's my recommendation that council cancel committee of the whole and convene council meeting on Wednesday, December 19th.
What is the wishes of council? Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we cancel the December 12th Committee of the Whole meeting and replace that with the December 19th regular council meeting.
And then we would cancel council on December the 26th. I'm assuming we're all busy.
Well, it's pretty obvious.
I'm not.
I didn't think that needed mentioning, but I maybe should have mentioned that.
It's been moved by Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor Allen. Was there any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have just a quick question about that. Would council entertain any presentations during that regular council meeting?
I don't know.
Because usually it's a committee of the whole that we do presentations,
Yes.
and I'm not sure. Because, for example, at our next committee of the whole meeting, I'm going to request staff, CAO already knows this, request staff that we have a discussion or a presentation by an election official who does electronic voting,
Yes.
which is something that we should be discussing very soon, because elections are coming up in 2 years, but I think it's our due diligence, and it may be that anyone that could come make a presentation would only be able to do it then, the month of December.
Well, we would have the month of November maybe to schedule them,
yes,
Deputy Warden.
Then we got October.
Just a question.
Go ahead, Councillor Cunningham.
Just generally, and this is my feeling on that. If we're canceling the meeting, the earlier meeting, I think that's fine. I'm in agreement with the motion. But having said that, if need be, then we could schedule an appointment, and again, we could have that conversation maybe later on, depending on the circumstances at that particular time. So.
Okay, thank you very much. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, carried. Thank you very much. I think I'm still on the. Here. 8.5 subdivision paving. Councillor T. Cunningham. Go ahead, Councillor.
Right after the Department of Transportation Infrastructure Renewal gave their presentation the other day, I didn't catch it in the presentation, but on review of their 5-year plan, I did scroll down through and did see that part of their plan is paving for subdivisions in conjunction with municipalities. So we talked a little bit, it's not included in the budget this year, engineering subdivision here in the municipality. The one of them in the smaller one in Hebron, and in any event, that we talked about cost sharing and all those potential pieces. Having said that, I think that I'd like more information from the province as to what that is over the next 5 years. Like, what percentage do we have to enter into a development agreement? What do we have to come to the table with to get that? Because I'd certainly welcome, because it's our road, it's our asset. I think conceptually there's some will to help the residents get it paved. It's better certainly for us having it paved in terms of maintenance, better for the residents, and if we can get a sizable portion of it covered by the province, then that would make it a much more attractive proposition for the residents and the municipality and everybody involved. So I'd like more information on that so that council can digest that and see what it all means.
So, what is that a motion required, or just consensus of council to
Consensus.
have staff go forward on that?
Consensus is fine.
It's consensus. Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I fully believe, and I can't believe I'm agreeing with my colleague on this. If there's money out there to be had, maybe we should get our fingers in the pie. I know we've discussed this. I know I've been against a lot of the discussion about subdivision pavings. However, my due diligence, and since I represent the whole municipality, I think it's important that we look for any funding possibilities we have can get our hands on. So I'm in agreement with that.
Okay, that's the consensus of council then. Thank you. 8.6 CAO report. you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. So, per the agreement, when I accepted the position with the Municipality District of Yarmouth, you see before you my first tabled CAO report. My vision would be that the structure of the report would meet the reporting needs and information needs of council in terms of the municipal operations. Questions of clarification or requests for changes in structure are welcomed at this point.
Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First of all, I'd like to thank our new CAO for putting this out, and I really appreciate that you're putting it in bullet form. I find it's very easy to read that way, and if we had any questions that we could elaborate on different things, especially you put different sections in here like finance, other things like that. I really appreciate that. Corporate services, things that's going on, so it's quite it's quite busy, and there's a lot of information in there, so I really like to thank you for doing that.
I think Councillor Cunningham.
All right, thank you. Well done. And I really like it because it shows residents that our staff and our council's busy getting things done in the Municipality District of Yarmouth. So it's nice to see that track monthly. And again, the public can come and raise questions about all of these things. And it's a nice compact form that's readable. It's not a one-pager, it's a few pages, but that's a testament to how much we're getting done, I think. So I like it, and we can talk about it more moving forward. But thank you very much for the inclusion of that in this month's council agenda.
Good. Councillor Durkee.
An additional thank you from me. It does. I'm very happy. It really helps with transparency, so that our constituents knows all the things that we're working on. Now, and I'm not sure where this should go or if this is part of a CAO report, but at some point I would like to see the motions that are made in council and the actions that have taken place from those motions. I don't know if it goes in your CAO report or if that's a separate report, but if you could comment on that, that would be appreciated. I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure where that would go, but at least we know if we've made it and this has been what's been done.
So it'd be very easy to do that. We could just add a section called Motions of Council, and we can copy the motions there, and we can brief you on the actions that were taken.
Thank you very, very much.
Okay, yeah, see, it's not on my paper. 8.7. Oh, I think you looked good over there. No, Dwayne, if you, yeah, your part is over. If you wish to go.
Okay.
Okay.
You were being so quiet, I forgot about you over there.
8.7, the municipal alcohol program update. Mr. Cushion, yes. Go ahead.
I did want to mention to the CEO about her report that the recreation department report, I don't believe that should be in there because that's something that usually comes from Frank via email and the committee notes.
Frank is an employee of the municipality and reports to me, and that's a department. So what you see included in there are the activities relating specifically to Modi and do not include the other side of that partnership.
Okay, I was just making sure, just making sure that.
Councillor Cushion, you in
dear me,
You're on. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't believe there's any conflict on this part here that I just wanted to update where we are with this MAP project. As you're aware that Councillor LeBlanc and I sat on the MAP committee. We have a lack of better words, I guess, an advisor, Larry Phillips, with the health authority, who does a lot of our research for us and a lot of our documentation. I don't know if any other councillors happen to see. I asked this to be on the report before I on the council meeting before, not realizing that the HRM, Halifax Council, had an open debate on where cannabis could be grown, and they're suggesting an industrial zone. So there was quite a, it was, I had to see it on the news, and it was quite a debate over it and whatnot. So, which was good to see. You know, I just want to remind council, as we all know, of October 17th, cannabis becomes law. There is a draft smoke-free places bylaw for Moody that includes cannabis now, that our committee will share and discuss with the bylaw committee in the near future. The original committee was called MAP, Municipal Alcohol Program. We are, excuse me, we are considering to change that name to better reflect the activities of the reducing harms from tobacco and cannabis, not just alcohol. I became a member of this committee in January of 17, and when I seen what was going on, that's when I had originally had introduced that we should be including cannabis also, which we have. And I must say our author, Larry Phillips, and Councillor LeBlanc, and Councillor Guy Surratt, and been very, from the municipality of Argyle, have been very active in coming up with some suggestions and whatnot. Right now, we've been able to connect with other municipalities and other groups across province to identify potential areas of collaboration.
Oh, God, yeah.
But I would say our council has taken an initiative approach and will be among leaders in Nova Scotia next to HRM. And I had introduced, I forget what the councilor's name was from HRM. I think his first name was Kevin. I introduced him to Larry Phillips, and they've been talking back and forth about where they are with this these bylaws and whatnot. And I happened to be in Digby at a I forget what it was called now. The RIMS, it was involved with it anyway, right?
Partners for Progress.
Partners for Progress, yes. I was up there, and some discussions were taken around different tables, and I happened to mention that I said, where are you folks at on, these were actually a councillor from the valley, and he said, we haven't even looked at it. We don't know what's going on. All we know is HRM is working on it, and so I informed them that we are also working on it. So I think our Larry Phillips, our health authority person, he's very encouraged on the progress that we have made in getting ready for this legalization in October 17th, instead of waiting until it becomes legalized and then try to backpedal, right? So, and there, just to let you know, there are very few rural municipal units that have a smoke-free places bylaw, and like I say, Modi has this draft bylaw, and so we feel that from the information we're getting, and Larry doing his research of all other municipal councils across Nova Scotia, and he's expanded across Canada in a lot of areas, that we are kind of ahead of the game. So, which is I think is very positive on our committee, and working towards a very difficult, I believe, situation that's coming up in October 17. So I just want to, and I believe, we talked about the name change. And speaking on behalf of our MAP committee right now, which we changed the name, I look forward to our continued work and introduction to our bylaw committee for approval of some bylaws and whatnot, which will be coming up in the near future. But I'd just like to put it out there that we've been working very steady and very diligently on trying to make things as good as possible, or as palatable as possible for other municipalities to cooperate with us in our area. When this all began, our project, our program, our committee, we did make presentations, or a presentation was made to our council. I was involved with the presentations with Larry Phillips at the town council, and I was also involved with Larry Phillips on the presentation to the municipality of Argyle. And at that point in time, all three councillors were in favor of being, all have the same type of bylaws within a very few. So no matter where you were in these three municipalities, that we'd be able to be united in making things better for the community. So I just wanted to update the council on that, and we certainly look forward in presenting our findings and our recommendations to the bylaw committee, so that Councillor Durkee can introduce them to our council at a later date. So just wanted to give an update. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor. Appreciate that. Be 8.8, Councillor Deputy Warden fundraisers. Someone you wish to make a comment? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Essentially, I thought I was going to be chairing this meeting tonight. However, you decided that you're going to travel up to the city tomorrow morning. I had made a mention to someone that I would mention their event in the opening remarks, so therefore I asked to put forward a different line item. And the two things that I wanted to mention specifically, they're happening this Saturday. The first one is the Yarmouth SPCA Animal Shelter Grand Reopening. This is going to be this Saturday, September the 22nd, starting at 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. Also on that same day, the Hospital Hullabaloo fundraiser is taking place this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Mariner Center. So if any of you are around and available to go to that, there's two things that you can do within our community, and they both provide a valuable service, both of them, to our community. Yes, so I just wanted to make sure that those were mentioned, because I did say that I was going to mention them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Item number 9 is in 9.1 is committee reports. The first one, Audit Committee. The Audit Committee will be meeting on Monday at noon, I believe. And then from there, we'll be having a meeting of full council on the 27th at 5, is it? I haven't gone far enough. 27th. At 5 o'clock I have in mind. Yeah, on the 27th, 5 o'clock. That's full council. That's with the auditors to go over financial. You had that in your thing, did you, Trevor?
I did, but I'm not going to be able to now, but I won't be able to do the audit.
The 27th? Ooh. On the 24th, yeah. Okay. The Bylaw and Policy Review Committee, is there... I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councillor.
Very quickly, we are continuing to work on the capital maintenance sidewalk policy. We have a draft for our dynamic speed display sign policy, and we brought to first reading today the PACE energy program bylaw. And we also brought forth the interest policy, are working on a conference policy, and solid waste bylaw.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. District Planning, there's been no meeting. Emergency Measures Planning Committee, there's been no meeting. Emergency Measures Executive Committee, there's been no meeting. Occupational Health and Safety Committee.
I will speak to that, Mr. Warden, just very briefly. So there's a certification process that staff are participating in, and by the end of this calendar year, we'll receive a certification from Occupational Health and Safety from the province, just indicating that staff are trained to certain levels depending on their activity, and that we'll have that as an organization.
Okay. Heritage Advisory's been no meeting, I believe. Planning Advisory, we've discussed that earlier this evening. Item number 9 is Yarmouth County Police Advisory Committee. I don't know if the Deputy Warden, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One thing to note, the Planning Advisory Committee meeting that's scheduled was postponed due to lack of agenda items. And the Yarmouth County Police Advisory Committee met last Thursday. However, due to an incident within their area, there was Staff Sergeant Ben Perry. He was actually on vacation, but his alternate was not able to proceed or come to the meeting because they were having an incident within Yarmouth County, and all their staff members were working on that issue. However, we did get the reports of the incidents, whether it be alcohol-related drinking and driving, break and enter, stuff like that. They seem to be staying pretty well status quo. As other years, there seems to be no alarming rise in any one area. Unfortunately, there's no alarming fall in any one area either. Also, very quickly, there was discussion on the legalization of cannabis this coming up, which my fellow councillor Lauren Cushing had mentioned. I should not speak too much to that, whereas I seem to excuse myself from any discussions in regards to cannabis and alcohol. However, they were just stating some of the issues that RCMP may have in enforcing some of these, because there's still some questions that are up in the air that they have not been handed down from the federal, provincial, and municipal governments on how they're going to handle this. So, as the Councillor Cushing stated, there's a lot up in the air, and the police are still trying to figure this out.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yarmouth Recreation, has there been nothing from Yarmouth Recreation? Other reports, Friends of the Light? Is there any? Councillor Cushing?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Yeah, the Friends of the Light, I believe it was a very successful year with the amount of tourists that are being generated down in that area. There's only one concern that I really have, and I've mentioned it to the committee several times, that I certainly like to see our summer staff. There's enough of them there that they can rotate to bring that golf cart down to the parking lot and to mingle with the tourists that are coming there, and encourage more people to coming up, giving them drives up. But I think that's an issue we can continue to work on, and looking forward to next year doing it. But from I must say that there is a very dedicated bunch of volunteers who do that work down there, and I look forward to again next year having a much busier year again, because with the growing pains we went through last year, there was we still did fairly well. This year was a tremendous boost, and I look forward to continued growth for next year. And while I'm talking, this is beyond the Friends of the Light, but this is another part of my district where I excel in, and is our music night on Thursday nights. During the Coal Shed Festival, our kitchen party that we have at our Pembroke Hall every Thursday night, they played at the Coal Shed, and the big tent, and it was one of the biggest crowds they had during any of the activities at that net. So, we have a lot of good volunteers there. The seniors really enjoy that music, and so does the public. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Joint Green Energy.
We recently had a meeting and discussed a potential solar project. And Greg shared with the committee that the subdivision where the windmill project is complete, so that the municipality of Argyle and town of Yarmouth's name are on that portion of lands where the windmills are.
Yes.
So stay tuned for more green energy news.
Regional Economic Management Board, no meeting. Western Counties Regional Library. The only thing I have to report from there is I've been asked to, they're having their annual conference here in Yarmouth on September 28th. And I'm hoping I have the, I have the 20, okay, but I've been asked to be there on the 28th, so is that your evening reception maybe? No, no, okay. Go ahead, Councillor Durkee.
It's the 28th, 29th, and 30th.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I had mentioned at the last one, so yes, it's coming together very nicely. Should be a
Yes.
really good conference.
Okay. Yasta, is there, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The library, oops,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
the
right.
library conference, is that open to the public too? Can like, if I want to go to it, or is that just a closed?
I think it'd be closed.
Check the website for registration.
Okay, thank you.
Yasta, was there anything from Yasta? Councillor LeBlanc, go ahead.
Yes, we had a meeting just yesterday, and Chris, I can't remember his last name, that was working in Shelburne for for tourism, started 2 weeks ago, took Rick Allwright's position, and Rick Allwright was at his first YASTA meeting as a member, on a board member. And we talked a little bit about the terminals and the terminal in Bar Harbor. And from what they told us, that is far from being a done deal. So, and it doesn't, it seems like they're busy enough the way that they are now in Bar Harbor, so they don't know what's going to happen there. It seems like neither port wants us for some reason, but anyways, and then there's a tie-ins meeting in Halifax at the end of October. And there's a few counselors from, one from Yarmouth and one from Argyle that is going to the tie-ins, and then a public member is going also. So Neil is a board member on tie-ins.
Thank you. Waste check, we did have a short meeting here 2 weeks ago, discussed basically on green carts and some other items. Our new truck will be arriving soon, and the one that we are retiring will be put up for tender. It'll be in the paper, I'm not sure, and on social media of Waste Check and so on. It's a 2007 four-wheel drive GMC, so that should be up shortly. If you know of anybody that's looking for a truck, please put it out there. They can go to the web page and so on. Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission, we have a meeting Monday, do we not? The 24th? Yes, that's what I thought. Yarmouth Waterfront Development Authority, did you folks have a meeting or anything? Nothing? Yarmouth International Airport Corporation, Alain, the acting manager, is putting together a meeting, I believe, I'll say it's going to be, would it be the end, it's not going to be the end of September?
Tuesday, October 2nd.
Tuesday, oh Lord, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be here. Yes. Yes.
As long as I get a email notification that it's happening.
Yes. Yes.
But I'll go with dinner.
Yeah, I would have been here, but believe it or not, there's another meeting of regional chairs. This is, well, pertains to C&D and EPR and so on. It's happening within the province, so.
It's October the 2nd?
October 2nd. That would be a Tuesday, isn't it? Okay. Thank you for being able to fill in. Signs Committee? Go ahead, Councillor.
I suspect we will have a meeting coming up soon, but we look forward to that and improving the signage around the municipality.
Okay, thank you. That's all report. Was there anything else anybody wishes to make comment on? There is no in-camera recommendations. But, no, there is no in-camera recommendations. Thank you.